you feel like right now you could die knowing that you fulfilled everything that you wanted to do in life? I know, bit of an intense question to start with, but one that has many answers.
He loves watching cartoons. His first
one probably to film as well. We had a really...
Many of you watching this are probably under 18 and would answer no because, well, your life is just getting started. Of course I'm not successful, I'm barely surviving through school, some may say. I literally just failed my driver's test. How could I go anywhere in life? An elderly person could be on their deathbed, with this being the last thing they ever see, and I think I may have killed them by making them contemplate their whole life existence. I don't think I'm getting an answer from them now. In theory, this is a yes or no question, but success is something that is subjective to everyone's life experience. Ask this to a robot and they'll probably spit back
unknown variable, success not defined.
And then you give them the Google definition and they spit back again.
Well, I successfully processed success, therefore I am successful.
Well, we're not robots. I hope. And there's so many factors in our lives that turn this question from a yes or no to a spectrum of maybe and maybe not. So, what does success mean to everyone? Well, I asked them. And well, they answered. I made a poll on YouTube breaking down success into 4 categories: wealth, fame and power, skill, and legacy, while also linking a more in-depth Google form that they can take to give more information. On the main YouTube poll, over 16,000 people voted. 46% legacy, 32% skill, 19% wealth, and a tiny 3% for fame and power. In this sample size, we see that people define success by being good at something and being remembered for it. A sort of life after death ideology in the minds of the many. The curious thing is that most people rather be remembered than known. People seem to care what others think about them after an interaction rather than during the interaction. When asked to define success in their own words, the most common response was achieving happiness or contentment. Many people saying happiness and successful are synonymous with each other without realizing that you can be successful and unhappy, or happy and unsuccessful. Well, alright, that was the surface level poll. What about the Google form that goes more in depth? What did people say on that? The forum was a series of 9 questions relating to success and how each person would achieve their own personal version of it in life. First, I asked the ages and relative locations of the people taking the quiz. This is important to know since age and your environment that you grew up in have a big impact on your own ideas of what it means to be successful. Unfortunately, because this is YouTube, 80% of the people participating in the poll were under 18. People likely to not have yet achieved the traditional definition of success, so our age variety might not be the most diverse. But what about geography? The split was pretty expected, with 39% on both Europe and North America and 16% for Asia. And now, once I successfully tracked their age and IP, I asked the participants on a scale from 1 to 10 how successful they thought they were as of right now. Most people ranked themselves as a 7 out of 10, with just over a quarter of the votes. But there was a significant number of people who ranked themselves slightly lower, bringing the total average down to around a 6 out of 10. Most people find themselves hovering around the middle, capable of success, just haven't obtained it yet, which could be a reflection of the age demographic. Young teenagers still try and find their place in the world, being optimistic about their future, yet have some doubts about the path they must take. Next, I asked them the same question as the original poll, but this time allowed people to rank these categories from first to fourth. And as you can see, the results are pretty different. The most popular result on the poll was legacy, while on the Google form, people prioritized skill. Fame and power are still way behind in last, but legacy and wealth were very even, with many people ranking them second and third. Now came the big question. Did the American dream exist where these people live? Now, I am yet to mention what the American dream means, but the concept is simple. It is believed in Great America, land of the free, blah blah blah. Anyone could achieve their own success because America has no barriers. You can be dirt poor and then become a billionaire in America, land of the free and home of the brave. The dream isn't a goal or a destination, but rather the path leading up to it. This almost capitalist propaganda has had several depictions in media for centuries. One of the most famous being in the novel The Great Gatsby. In the story, we follow Nick Carraway, who gets invited to one of Jay Gatsby's illustrious parties. We find later that Gatsby throws these parties to try and reunite with the love of his life, and that he started his life as a dirt poor farmer in North Dakota. And through hard work, a little swindling, and meeting the right people, he was able to achieve unimaginable wealth. This story represents a fantasy that all Americans strive to achieve, and Gatsby did it all in America. So with the question slightly reworded in the poll to avoid any unintended geographical bias, the results were probably the most one-sided out of the bunch, but also the one where geography played played the biggest part. The irony is that the continent that felt had the most American dream was Europe, consistently voting over 6 out of 10. North America was very split, with the votes being on both extremes of the spectrum, and Asia voted around the middle, averaging around 5 out of 10. And for the last 3 questions, let's just do a quick fire round. When asked about ethical boundaries, most people lean towards a more reserved approach. When asked if motivation was driven to please others, a very large amount of people swayed more towards other people. This could mean in the society we live in today, life is only about pleasing others and meeting their expectations rather than our own self-fulfillment. And well, I mean, that makes sense. As children, we're told to get good marks, to go to a good school, to get a good job, and get paid. And all of these are about meeting the expectations of something or someone bigger. A teacher, a school board, a company boss. I mean, what even is success if not a single person recognizes it, right? So what is success and the American dream? Well, it's complicated. Famous? Rich? As soon as I'm satisfied, when I've done the best I can, something which I can be proud of, remembered as a good person, being satisfied and being happy able to do whatever you want, something which I can be proud of, getting a 7 chicken nugget in a 6-pack.